Alright guys, so here's another activity you can do with your students to help them get more exposure to words, right? Because we know they need to see them more than once and work with them more than once. It also involves categorizing, which we know is a way for students to learn words more quickly. It helps to make analogies to other words they do know, or to at least group them together so they know it's similar, and they can kind of start making those connections in their brains. So it's called bumper words, and what it is like I said, a categorizing activity that helps students to kind of learn the relationship between words that are on whatever specific vocabulary list you're using. One word of caution is that with this is that you need a vocab list in which words can be grouped in different ways. They don't have to be grouped the same way either. You can have some grouped by definition on the same list and others grouped by part of speech. It doesn't matter. If you're in science, you could match by something completely different than definition. For example, maybe states of matter. Something like that would be fine. On the lower levels, maybe you can have them group animals, mammals, amphibians, whatever, as long as there's some kind of grouping that you can do with them. So you have to plan a little bit ahead to have a list that can be grouped. So either you use a group if you have a vocab list already made and it looks like it's easily groupable, great, use that one. Or you can plan ahead and make a vocab list that lends itself to this activity. So again, this activity won't work all the time. It takes a little bit of teacher prep, but if you keep your list and your bumper activity, which is then for each year, then you don't have to do it every year. So maybe this isn't one you want to use all the time, and some of the other ones I showed you are easier, but this one's a good one. You'll see in a second, okay? So here's how it works. What you're going to do is you're going to put the groups of words into groups, into categories, okay? So it can be a worksheet, it can be a graphic organizer, you could write them on the board, you put them on the smartboard, and then you can move the words around. Again, it doesn't really matter, there's lots of ways to do it. You can even have manipulatives that the students could do at small group time, which would also be a great way to practice in groups. Okay, so what you do is you put the words into groups from your list, into groups of 3 or 5 is best for each group. So words that are alike in some way, either by definition, type of animal, whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter. It lends itself to pretty much everything as long as you can categorize them and you have words that are similar enough in some way. Okay, so there are going to be groups that are similar, except for one word in the group is not going to fit in. It's going to be the oddball. It doesn't fit. It either doesn't match the definition, it's not the same type of animal, whatever. Okay? So what the student's job is to then look at these groups and to figure out which one word is not related. Okay? And what to do is they bump it to the next word group. Okay? So it ends up being a chain effect. So I'll show you an example. That's why it's called bumper words, because they're going to bump them. Okay, give me a second to get the camera. I'm sorry. Alright, so this would be an example of either on the board or a worksheet, something like this, okay? So this one's already filled out, so just follow along with me here. So what you do is here's your group 1 of words. So we have 4 words in this group: abase, humiliate, demean, and extol. Alright, so it's already done. Extol doesn't fit into this group, so we bump it to the next group, right? So this would be like an answer line for the students. Either you move it on the board, you can move it on the smartboard, you can move a manipulative, or you can write it on a worksheet like this, okay? So this word becomes part of the new group. So you don't ignore it. It's part of the new group. Extol, credit, attribute, and disjoin. Okay, so disjoin doesn't fit in, so we move it. Again, disjoin becomes part of the new group. Disjoin, ensure, interpose, terminate. Okay, ensure doesn't fit. We move it down. Ensure, repudiate, secure, guard. Okay, repudiate doesn't fit. And we're in our last group, so it should fit there, but they can double check. So repudiate, recant, rescind, and forsake. Okay, those are all have similar meanings to me. I think we're good. All right. So I want you guys to try this. So in front of you, you guys have some bags. There should be 12 bags, I believe, okay? They're labeled 1 through 12, so you're going to go ahead and dump the groups of words out on the table and do it in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And as a group, you're going to take a couple minutes and try to move these words. Remember, you're moving one word over, and that becomes part of your new group. And then we'll do it together then up here so that you guys can see and check, all right, and make sure you got the hang of it, because it's a little confusing to look at it on the paper, especially if it's already filled out, which it is already filled out up here. Okay, now that you guys have done so, let's take a look and check our work and do this together. Okay, so here we go. These are from an Edgar Allan Poe vocab list, in case you're curious about the kind of morbid nature of some of these words. All right, so our first group, we got putrid, melancholy. Let's see. Okay, so we got a lot of words that have to do with being weary of life or bored of life and kind of sad. So putrid doesn't fit in. So putrid has to do with like a nasty odor. So we're going to move putrid over. All right, so you can see with the color coding up here, it should make it easier to see the actual bumping happening. All right, so putrid is now part of your new group. So let's see, what doesn't fit? Oh, we got a lot of things about nasty smells. This doesn't fit, disingenuous. So we'll move that. Disingenuous and fervor definitely don't mix. Duplicitous, beguile, nope. Okay, so we're gonna move fervor. Fervor doesn't fit. So again, see how I'm just bumping them over? Hopefully the color helps you see that. All right, so fervor moved over. What doesn't fit here? Okay, this doesn't fit, so we move it. Okay, again, color should help you see the bump. All right, what doesn't fit? Okay, flambeau doesn't fit, so we're gonna move it. All right, here's our next group. Let's see. Okay, so we've got a lot of words that, even though these are kind of different in that, you know, this is with coals, this is with actual candles, this is just a big fire, and this is like a torch. They're not really all the same type of lighting, but they all have to do with fire. So we're going to move charnel. All right, these all have to do with something with the grave. We've got something that covers a coffin, things that you wear in the coffin, tomb, another type of tomb. All right, pallid doesn't fit, so we move it. Okay, let's see. So pallid fits in with everything here. Okay, we got kind of sickly and pale. Acute doesn't fit, so we're going to move it. All right, and then let's see. So we've got idiosyncrasy, acumen, astuteness, acute. All right, so all of them fit having to do with a kind of special perception except for soiree, so we're going to move it. All right, so gala, fete, revel. All right, vignette doesn't fit, so we move it. Okay, cameo, bas relief, simulacrum. All right, so this doesn't fit, so we move it. These are all types of art. That is not. And again, this is our last group, so everything should fit. Gelatinous, glutinous, syrupy, and viscid. Okay, so that group looks good to me there. All right, so again, you can kind of see, look at the colors, and see how everything is moving and bumping along. Again, this was a lot more groups. You can do it with as many or as little groups as you want. It can go on forever to change if you've got a lot of vocab words, whatever works. One thing to point out is that you do not need to use just vocab words. So most of the words here are actually from Poe's works and from Poe's vocab words, our list. But you can fill out your groups with synonyms or words that are other words that are similar to the words in your group if you don't have enough on your list. So I wouldn't suggest doing it with like 3 of the words in the group, but doing it with 1 is fine. Again, you want most of the practice to be with all the vocab words in general, but putting another word that they know in to use as a reference point for the new vocab word is not going to be a problem. For example, here, devotion did not come from Poe, okay? Zeal and ardor did, but devotion did not. I just used devotion to kind of fill in that group because there wasn't another Poe word to make 4 words in that group, okay? So that's fine. All right, so that's the teacher-directed version. You don't have to do teacher-directed. You could also have it be student-directed, okay? So you can ask, if you want to ask them to think even more critically about it, so you're gonna make them do the grouping themselves. So you give them a list, again, something that's groupable. You don't want to make it too difficult for them, okay? And you're going to ask them to create bumper words chain using either all of the words in the list or maybe just some of the words, okay? This could either be a group assignment and they can create their bumper words on like a poster board. And then what you could do is you could give each group of students a different vocab list perhaps, and then they could go around on another day and review by trying to solve each other's bumper words posters. Okay, so maybe set it up more like this one, okay? Where you'll have them do a poster like that, and this, obviously instead of filling this in, they'll just leave it blank, okay, with their words. Okay, make sure you model it if you're going to have them do that, though, because, again, it can be a little confusing the first time, okay? So why does this work? All right, so they're thinking about words and how they relate to other words. So they're making associations, which we know we've already talked about today, is a huge part of learning vocabulary, is those associations. So categorizing and making analogies is a great way to kind of help the meaning get in their brain. If you do this activity, obviously you would do this activity if you've already directly taught these words to the students and done other activities with them. So again, they're seeing the words again, which we also know is something that needs to happen. They don't just learn the words by seeing them once. They need to work with them quite a few times. So this is just be another way of reinforcing that. Okay. Again, it engages students in a meaningful interaction with their words. Okay, so they have to actually think about them. They're not just kind of sending them, just repeating them back at you or just writing them 100 times, which we have already talked about doesn't work, okay? So I thought this was an interesting activity. Again, it takes a little bit more setup than some of the other ones we talked about, but it's worth the time to give students kind of something else to do. Again, this could take a little bit more time if you decide to do the like the group work with the posters, or it could take very little time if you do the groups ahead of time and do the teacher-directed one and do it on the smartboard. So it's up to you with how much time you want to spend on the vocab.